Hey performers, welcome back to Danny Robertson Music, where we're helping you be the performer that you are meant to be. I'm Danny Robertson. Thanks for joining me again this week. We're going to look at something slightly different this week, and there's a reason for this. I want to talk about why we perform live shows. Why do you and I enjoy getting out there and getting out in front of people and being performers? Do we do it for the joy of performing? Do we do it for the monetary value? Do we make money off of it? Is it a little bit of both? Do we do it because we get some incredible life experiences out of the entire thing? Maybe it's a little bit of all of that. So what I want to do today is go through some videos that I have shot over the last year at performances that I've done and kind of explain to you why I felt that these were my favorite performances of the year. Some of them I made a lot of money. Some of them I made almost no money. But there's a reason why all of these were my favorite. And it a lot of the time has to do with the experience that I was able to have from that event. For those of you who are watching who are entertainers or live performers or musicians, I encourage you to think about the experience that you get from every single time you perform. It's not just about money, but it's not just about making people have fun. It's about something greater than all of that. So take a look at these and I'll talk about why these ones are the best ones for me in the last year. First things first, I played a lot of weddings in this last year and really enjoyed a lot of the ones that I got to play. Going back almost a year from today, we played for K&T. They had a great wedding reception, which was unfortunately several hours away from my home. So I drove down there with the saxophone player, my good friend Logan, and we had a great long talk, and it was a very good experience just getting to have that time to get to know each other a little bit better. The wedding reception itself was fantastic. There were a lot of players on that gig that I don't get to play with very often, and I really enjoy a lot of those people in general. The audience was really great. They were engaged, and they even had signs that were like giant pictures of their animals that they had at home, a couple of cats and a dog, so that they could bring them and have them be a part of the event without actually being at the event. About a month later, I played in a different city that was about 5 hours in the other direction, and the bride and groom, E and J in this case, were fantastic people. They were really fun to hang out with. They were engaged in the show, and their whole crowd was just awesome. Not to mention that the venue itself was great. It was a beautiful spot, and it was the first time that I had played there. The only problem that happened was that a fire alarm went off before the event started, and we turned it into a beat.
Hit it! The roof is on fire! We don't need no water, let the smoke burn!
About a month after that, in July of 2024, I got to play my first wedding at a stadium, which just happened to be a well-known one, Notre Dame Stadium. If you haven't seen it, I'll share the link to the video all about that gig and give you all of the details what happened that day. That was an amazing experience. Not only because we played this really unique event, but it was also a very engaged crowd that had a great time, and they were very, very nice people. We even did a nice big group picture with everybody. About a week later, I played a different kind of wedding at a much smaller venue, and the wedding was in the middle of the day. So the event was finished by 5 p.m., which is something that almost never happens. On top of that, that event had a small but mighty crowd, and we really enjoyed playing the show for that audience. That audience was engaged right from the beginning, and that experience was just as fun for us as it was for the crowd. And I also have to mention that that venue location was only about a 5-minute drive from my own home, so I was home, unpacked and everything by dinner time, which in my experience is very, very rare. It was great to be home and be able to be with my kids at the end of the night after that gig. About a month later, I got to go back to Notre Dame Stadium and do a different event with the same band, but in this case, I was not hired to be the piano player for the band. I was asked to film the show because it was expected to be a very, very big event. And it was. There was somewhere around 300 or 400 guests at this wedding. The band had been hired as a 12-piece, and there was also an additional group of musicians who played bagpipes earlier in the night. You can also see that we got a quick selfie of everyone in front of Touchdown Jesus, who's normally shown on all of the sports channels when Notre Dame football is going on. While I didn't actually play this one, I was still part of the band in some capacity in this case because I was still getting on stage, but it was a very, very fun event. As we got into the fall and then the winter, I played a few more weddings where we either had a really, really awesome crowd or we had a really, really unique venue that we got to play at. In October, I played for M and J, who were great people. Their parents were great people, and we had an amazing time, and the band sounded like it was on fire that night. We were awesome that night. The vocals were just really spot on. We really harmonized well, and overall, the show was just a really big hit. I actually got to play the day before for the rehearsal dinner that was also happening at the same location. And then later on, the same family in 2025 reached back out to us to play a corporate party for their company party. In all cases, we had great times at all three of these events. Then this one was probably my favorite of last year. We played a show where the bride and groom were just awesome. And the groom wanted to get up on stage and sing a song with us. And it was one of the best experiences we've had with a crowd in the last several years. Not only had I brought my GoPro to film all of this, but I got the bright idea to add a camera light to all of this. And it seemed to do the trick to draw the audience in to engage with the show. So every time that light went on, people were looking at it and looking at the camera and engaging and singing along with the songs. When the groom got up on stage and sang a couple of songs with the band, it was like we went up a level and it was like a full-on concert experience for everybody involved. It was just a really awesome time. To round out the end of the year, my last wedding in 2024 was at an awesome location as well. It was at Lucas Oil Stadium, home of the Indianapolis Colts. The wedding itself happened on the field at the stadium. I was asked to do this with another musician, a violinist who I had never previously met. We spoke on the phone the day before to talk through all of the songs that we had to play for the wedding ceremony. And then we played the show together, and it went off pretty much without a hitch. After the wedding, the reception was held at another location about a few blocks away, about a 5-minute drive away, at another very, very unique venue that is very old in Indianapolis, and even some famous names like Benny Goodman have performed there in the last 100 years. We didn't have the most engaged crowd at this event, but it was a very unique and exciting experience nonetheless. This band has also played a few weddings in 2025, one of which I was on in April. And again, it was a very fun experience. The bride and groom were extremely involved. They wanted to participate. They wanted to sing. They wanted to dance. And they got the rest of the crowd enjoying the show with us. We had a great time at this wedding, and people danced basically from start to finish. And I will say that that night, both our main singer and our saxophonist were on fire with their performance game. They were great that night. That band didn't just do weddings. We also did things like we did a festival in the middle of summer last year that was a lot of fun. They even had a big video screen up behind us, and they were filming us and making it a very big production. It was a lot of fun to play that one. I also got to return to a very nice venue for a repeat of a Christmas party that I did in 2023. The same company hired us again, and it was just as fun of an experience as it was in 2023. We had a great time. The crowd was engaged. That venue sounds just absolutely amazing, and it probably should because it is owned by the gentleman who started Sweetwater. At one point earlier in this year, I was booked to play this venue again for New Year's Eve of 2025, but the company that hired us decided to change the venue that they were using. I really enjoy playing that venue. The staff there is amazing. The food that they bring in tastes great. And it's just a lot of fun to play a big stage like that that has a really, really good sound system. So while I played several other weddings and several club gigs and a few other just random event types of gigs with that band, those were my favorites of last year because of the experiences that they created for me. But that was not the only band I played with in 2024 and into 2025. I also played with 3 other bands, so let's show you a few of those. So first, let's look at old bandmates. I did get to do a handful of gigs with an old band that I played with for a long time. As this band got older, the people that took over the roles are busy people and they had other commitments. So every once in a while, the band has asked me to fill in a place for the gig. So maybe it's I'm singing a song, maybe it's I'm playing the piano, or maybe I'm actually covering as the bass guitarist from the piano. That happened a handful of times this year with some bars that I played with them at, but the memorable gig that I really enjoyed playing with them this year was they asked me to be a singer when they weren't sure that one of their singers was going to make it in time for the gig. It ended up being that that singer did make it in time for the gig, and the 3 of us sang the show together. And it was a great experience. We had a lot of fun. The crowd was really engaged, and I was able to do the show in the full stage presence version of myself that didn't require me to also play an instrument that night. So it was a lot of fun. It got me out of my normal element, and I really enjoyed playing that show. Additionally, that same band had an old singer that reached out in the middle of the summer last year to play a small festival gig. The show wasn't going to pay a lot, but the reason why I chose to do this show was because I was going to get to perform with a singer that I had not worked with since 2009. 15 years after the last time we performed together, we got to do a small show together, and I had so much fun because of that. The other really new fun thing that happened for me this year was I was invited to be part of a disco-themed band. The first time I played with them was at this really tiny hole-in-the-wall bar that has a great local following, and people were there in droves. The band played, and while it was rough around the edges, it was none of the music that I normally play, and it made it so much fun because of that. We played a whole bunch of great disco songs, and people were dancing for a good chunk of the night. About 2 weeks after that gig, we were presented with the opportunity to do a radio-style interview on an NPR station local to this area. And we did that, had a great time, recorded some songs doing that. And then about 2 weeks after that, an opportunity presented itself where a gig at a local club that I play at regularly with other bands became an open possibility for one of my other bands, but we could not fill it. And when we couldn't fill it, I took that as a chance to try to put this disco band into that club. We got to play on a whim at the last second, and it went over without a hitch. We had a great time. The club owner loved it, and he booked the band again, and I think he's done so a few more times since then. So while I'm not covering most of these gigs, there's another keyboard player that can do a lot of that. This was a fun experience because it was unique. It was different music than I'm normally used to playing, and it was a lot of fun. It was a little bit more loose, and we got to just have fun with it, and it made for a great experience for me. So as you can see, I've been very lucky in my live performances, especially for the last year or two. I've gotten to do some really cool things that made for great life experiences that I've very much cherished and enjoyed. But I also found that there were some really, really valuable moments that came from not very exciting gigs, things that are not supposed to be all that special, but for me, they were. And I encourage you to think of this kind of stuff for yourself, because while some gigs will pay you really well and some gigs will pay you pennies, I want you to look at it for the experience that it creates for you. Do you enjoy creating music? Do you enjoy playing it live, performing live? Would you do it if you weren't being paid for it? For some of you, that answer will be yes. For some of you, that answer is no. Thank you again for going down memory lane with me. I do want you to know that if you are curious about being a better performer, creating a more immersive and engaging live experience for your audience, check out DannyRobertsonMusic.com. There's free guides, there are paid courses, and there's a whole bunch of things that you can take advantage of and learn from out there. So DannyRobertsonMusic.com, I'd suggest starting with the freebies section because it's a good place to start. Other than that, best of luck on your next live performance. I hope that you get to have some really great experiences in the next year. So best of luck on that, and we'll see you soon. Take care.